Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Strictly Bball podcast. Today we are doing another redraft video. This time we're going to be looking at the 2019 NBA draft. We're going to be going back and forth on each pick, starting at number 1. And Nolan, I'm going to have you call a coin flip in the air. So heads or tails?
Let's go. Tails.
And it is tails. So you get the number 1 pick.
Let's go.
You are taking the New Orleans Pelicans selection here. Who you have?
Let's go. I get the first overall pick again, like last time. With the first overall pick, I'm keeping it the same. I got to go Zion Williamson. You know, there's definite concerns with him gaining a little bit of weight. He's been injured this whole season, but he's such an efficient player. I think he has great potential, and I really think he is the deserving number 1 overall pick.
I was looking at this for a long time.
There's one player in particular, though, who has had a very impressive start to the season. So I'm very interested to see.
Well, I think the obvious one, obviously the 1 and 2 are obvious in this one. And I was very,
yeah.
I mean, when I was putting together my board, I had a hard time putting Zion at number 1. I did end up putting him at 1, but so I would agree with you there. Zion is the number 1 selection, but man, I think Ja Morant has a really good argument. So at number 2, I'll just jump right into it. Memphis Grizzlies keep Ja Morant. Obviously, there's a huge drop off from 2 to 3, I think, in this board. But I don't know, the pictures like going around now of like Zion looking like he's 320 pounds. Like he's had
there was one picture that I saw. It was awful. He's huge.
So it was hard for me to put Zion at number 1, but when he's healthy, he is the best player in this draft. So I would agree with you there.
I agree.
But he's had a surgery now in every season of his career. So I think if this continues for maybe 1 more year, I think Ja Morant would look like the number 1 pick in this redraft. But yeah, I'm taking Ja Morant at number 2. First 2 picks stay the same. Ja Morant has been incredible. He showed that last year. I mean, in the play-in games, he was super good. He's been amazing this year. And actually, the Grizzlies are doing pretty well without him. He's been injured these past 5 games, and they've won all 5. But that being said, Ja Morant is huge for the Grizzlies. Amazing for that franchise, and he's my number 2 pick. Pretty easy there, I'd say, to start. Other than maybe you could take Ja at number 1.
I would have to agree. I mean, Ja is averaging, I have it right here, 24, 7, and 6. There's a very good chance that it's going to be his first All-Star season. You know, hopefully he gets that. I think it really depends with his injury. But yeah, I would have to agree with the 1 and 2.
I would say there's potential for Zion, obviously injury prone, but also Ja Morant might be a little bit injury prone too. I mean, he plays just with no fear. He's so reckless, but he's so good. But yeah, easy 1 and 2. So you're up at number 3.
Wasn't there an instance last year where he got injured, or didn't he get injured last year?
I don't know how long it was, but he was definitely injured for a chunk of time. But yeah, that's just something to think about.
There's always that
injury. It's the worst part. But yeah, sure. You're the Knicks at number 3.
The Knicks with number 3, I gotta go with Tyler Herro. You know, him being able to embrace the coming off the bench despite all the hate, all the doubters saying that he was a bubble fluke. I feel like that really shows his capability to improve as a player and his level of maturity. He's averaging 21, 6, and 4. He's a very solid piece for the Miami Heat currently. And I think with the 3rd overall pick, you got to take Tyler Herro.
I agree with that one. Tyler Herro, easy 6th man of the year. Yeah. And I said on this podcast, he was my pick for 6th man of the year. And I think he's the runaway candidate for that award.
There's actually, no, not 6th man, but yeah. I'm thinking of a different award, which we'll get to.
Okay. So, yeah, Tyler Herro. I think a lot of people said like some really weird takes about him. Like obviously there was the bubble fluke, and last year he wasn't incredibly efficient, but he was still good, and he's just been amazing this year. People were even saying like him being in Miami, like he's distracted by like the life of like a celebrity. It's just not true. He's just a really good basketball player. So I agree with that pick at number 3. So the Knicks get Tyler Herro. Another big city. I think he'd love that too. But at number 4, I'm drafting for the Lakers. Traded this pick to the Hawks. The Hawks really selected DeAndre Hunter. So at number 4, the Atlanta Hawks are going to select RJ Barrett. I really did not want to take him here, but
that's not who
I'm taking RJ Barrett because he's 5th on my board, but number 4 on my board,
he's not 5th.
Number 4 on my board is not somebody who would fit with the Hawks very well. So I'm taking RJ Barrett. I believe in his potential, even though he's had a very inefficient, only 14 points per game this year, I still believe in RJ Barrett. I think his talent level is still there, and he has a lot of time to improve. So I'm taking RJ Barrett at number 4 for the Atlanta Hawks. I'm hesitant about that one, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm hesitant. I think he's a very solid player with great potential. I mean, he's a little bit inefficient, and we haven't really seen a lot of improvement out of him on the Knicks. That's not who I would take, and I'm going to take the person that I would have taken with a 5th overall pick, so I'll talk about him a little bit more.
Okay, who are you taking at 5 for the Cavs?
I wanted to introduce for the Cavs, 5th overall pick. I got to go Jordan Poole, and I'm going to give a little bit more description or a little more detail as to why I would take him for the Hawks. I know you're shaking your head and you don't think it would work out. I think he could play well alongside Trae Young. I think he plays well with a guy like Steph. They have somewhat of a similar play style. I think Jordan Poole could play a lot. He could play just as good for the Atlanta Hawks, I would say. And I definitely think he's a better player than RJ Barrett right now. So with that pick, 5th overall pick, I would take Jordan Poole for the Cavs, but I would have taken him with the 4th overall pick.
Okay. I think you're missing out on a guy with that pick. I think
you're probably thinking Garland, but I'm still going Jordan Poole.
The Cavs originally took
Garland was my 5th.
The Cavs originally took Garland, and I think they would not change that pick. He has been incredible for them.
You don't think
so? He has
been
incredible for them.
He's averaging 19 and 7. He's been playing really good. I've been keeping tabs on Jordan.
He's been averaging like 25 points per game the last maybe 3 or 4 games. I think they would definitely, and the Cavs are in the playoff race. I think they would definitely keep that pick in a redraft. But Jordan,
I love their young core.
Oh yeah, I love the Cavs. I also just love that it's Ricky Rubio and Kevin Love off the bench.
I know. I was gonna. Yeah,
that's the best part about that team. Also, the fact that they start like 3 7-footers. It's just a very interesting team to watch. So you took Jordan Poole for the Cavs. Okay, I disagree with that pick, but you disagree with me taking RJ. Where was RJ on your board?
6.
Okay,
it went Jordan Poole 4. Garland 5, RJ Barrett 6.
Okay, so we did have the same top 6 because at number 6, I'm drafting for the Timberwolves, and I'm taking Jordan. Or wait, at 6 I would have taken Jordan Poole. Sorry, at number 6 I'm drafting for the Wolves, and I'm taking Darius Garland. This is the guy that the Wolves wanted to take in that draft, and unfortunately he was taken 5th, 1 selection before the Timberwolves, and we ended up with Jarrett Culver, which was a horrible mistake. Trading up for that pick and then taking Culver. But Darius Garland, like we already said, he's been playing incredible for the Cavs, who actually are on track to make the playoffs for the first time since, guess when, without LeBron James. Guess when the last time the Cavs made the playoffs won 40 games. The last time the Cavs won 40 games without LeBron James on their team.
I think they were a pretty solid team, if I'm not mistaken, in like the early 90s when they had Mark Price and Steve Kerr. So I'll go a little bit earlier than that. Let's go 89.
That's the last time you think? No, the last time they won 40 games without LeBron James is 98, which is still a long time.
Oh, 98.
But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of sad, but
you're getting a little dramatic. I thought it was just going to be super long. So
I guess it's not too bad. That's not
exaggerated.
That's not too bad.
It's a bad.
But 40 games
it's a bad
is below.
Guess with the way you kind of prefaced it.
40 games is below 500, which is they haven't. Yeah, I mean, true. But yeah, the Cavs have been amazing, and Darius Garland, the Timberwolves would be ecstatic to get him in a redraft at number 6. Right. So you're up at number 7 with the Chicago Bulls.
Okay, with the Chicago Bulls, I'm going with the only gold medalist on this list, Keldon Johnson. He's steadily improving. I think he's a great player for the Spurs, and I just think he's the best player for the 7th overall pick.
Okay, I think the Bulls would definitely take Keldon Johnson. He'd be a good fit.
I feel like he would fit good for the Bulls.
I would like to see Keldon Johnson on a better team because we got to see him play with some absolute superstars on the USA team. I feel like that definitely advanced.
And he plays good with Murray.
Yeah.
I feel like he plays pretty good with Murray, so.
The USA team is huge for him. Like, I also think that if Anthony Edwards didn't get injured in the training camp of that USA team, he might have made the team over Keldon Johnson, which would have been really sick. But yeah, you got to give. I think there's a couple of guys you could take here, but that's a decent pick for the Chicago Bulls.
There is a few guys. I feel like the skill level out of these last 4 for me is pretty similar.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to agree. So that was number 7. So number 8 is the Hawks traded this pick to the Pelicans, I believe, right? Who originally took Jackson Hayes, and a player like that is not going to get drafted in the top 10 anytime soon again.
No chance.
I guess he's just an athletic, like really skinny 7-footer that's pretty much just dunks. He can't even really play defense very well. Horrible pick, but I'm going to redraft for them. So the Pelicans are going to select DeAndre Hunter with this pick. DeAndre Hunter has been injury prone, but when he plays, he's one of the better 3-and-D players in the league in that role of 3-and-D. The Hawks really missed out on having him in that Bucks series when he was injured. I think he's just a really solid winning player when he's healthy, and I think he'd be a good piece for the Pelicans. And I also think he has some more potential to develop more of an offensive game. He's only averaging maybe 12 points per game like in each of these past few seasons, but he's an incredible defender. And we've seen other guys like Kawhi Leonard. I know this is not a good comparison, but like Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, you can develop the offensive game when you already have that defense and that potential there. So the Pelicans get DeAndre Hunter. Not bad. Not bad for them. They will take that over Jackson Hayes. They will take that over Jackson Hayes.
I would most definitely take DeAndre Hunter over Jackson Hayes.
But yeah, who's next? So the Wizards are next at 9.
The Wizards at 9. This is difficult. There's still 3 players on my board that I'm deciding from. But I'm going to have to go with the guy. I think it's the guy they took. I know the Wizards took him. I'm going with Rui Hachimura.
Okay.
I think he has a lot of potential. You know, he hasn't played a single game this season, which is kind of unfortunate. But he's a guy with a career average of 14-6. Great player. Like I mentioned, I love his potential and his play style. And I think he's a fitting player for the Wizards. So that's who I'm going to take. I was deciding between him, Nickeil Alexander, who I think we've seen a very big jump out of him this past season, or this current season from past season, and then Terrence Mann, who stepped it up in last year's playoffs. He's not having the best season this year. I mean, he's behind Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe. He's averaging around like 10 points per game. But I'm still going to take Rui Hachimura. I'm taking the risk.
Okay. I like Rui a lot. I think his ceiling is really high. But the next 2 guys you named, actually, Terrence Mann,
Nickeil and Terrence Mann,
are not on my top 13.
Let me try to think, because you had DeAndre Hunter. I just did top 10. I didn't even do top 13. Other guys that came to mind for me, Cam Johnson.
Yep, he's in my top 13.
He's a very he's a very solid.
But yeah, I didn't have Nickeil. I didn't have Nickeil or who else did you say?
Terrence Mann.
I didn't have either of them in my top 13. But I'll go to honorable mentions after my last pick. So yeah. I'm drafting for the Hawks now, who took Cam Reddish, which was a pretty good pick. But I'm going to have to go a different direction here and take a player that is averaging below 6 points per game.
Let me think. I can't even think of it. Besides the guys you mentioned. Matisse Thybulle.
You didn't have him?
I was hesitant. No, I didn't have him, but I was just, he would have made my top 13 for sure, but he's just such a solid defender. He's one of the best defenders in the league.
I would say,
and yeah. I feel like
with Matisse Thybulle, you're getting probably the most disruptive perimeter defender in the NBA. Top 5 for sure. Like he's only averaging 6 points per game. If he can just become a more consistent corner 3-point shooter, he's one of the more valuable players in a role player position in the entire league. And I think the Hawks would take him here. I think they'd take him over Cam Reddish. But I will say a couple of guys I missed, or that didn't get drafted, that were on my board. I did 13 players in case I wanted to switch it up here, but Daniel Gafford I think is really good, and he was in my top 13. I had Rui Hachimura at 11, and then Lou Dort and Cam Johnson. And one more shout out to Naz Reid, undrafted.
No, he should. Well, he'd
be up there.
I guess
he'd be top 15.
The fact that he's undrafted,
he'd be top 15.
Maybe top 20.
Dude, come on. He'd be top 15. He's averaging 10 points per game in a backup role. I think he'd be up there.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking about the guys that I have at 10, and then you have DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, Lou Dort.
You didn't have DeAndre Hunter in your top 10?
No.
That's a mistake. It's a big mistake.
You think that's a mistake?
Yes. He is
I guess it is a little bit of a mistake. I know he's a solid. Yeah, he is pretty solid. But That's going to do it for our 2019 NBA redraft. Stay tuned for more of these in the near future.
Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about these picks, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.